Hey guys, let me check see if this live is on. Good night to everybody. Alright, we are live. So guys, tonight I'm doing live basically to share a little bit more information on to see this right here? You notice a lot of people are aware of the notice I've made a few months ago, and where I retire from driving, right? And I want to explain this because I get a lot of people message me and ask me about what I mean by that. What I mean that I retire from driving. I know they're not my car anymore because I see me still in my car all around. So I want to explain that. So if you're interested in this, give me a few minutes, make I explain it, right? So, why I travel and not drive, okay? I travel and not drive. Now, if you look up the act, there's something called the Motor Vehicle and Traffic Act, and you could Google it. It's in the laws of Belize, apparently. Now, this Motor Vehicle and Traffic Act is where you could find there are things of you requires a driver's license, and persons are required to register their vehicle. Persons are required to do such and such under the Motor Vehicle Traffic Act. Now, I've actually been studying a little bit about law, and I've been practicing law. Law, L-A-W, meaning land, air, and water. So there's different dimensions or different jurisdictions. So there's a law for each one of them. So when you practice law, it's good to be it's beneficial to understand that there exist the laws of the land, the laws of the sea, and the laws of the air. So now, in my learning law and practicing law, I eventually realized certain things that I didn't know. I wasn't aware of until I started learning and practicing this. So what I'm doing right now is basically just sharing that which I've learned, and I really encourage people to look into it, validate what I'm saying, right? But I'm basically just sharing my perspective and my experience. I know to try convince anybody to do anything. I know to try convert anybody. I just give you my perspective for you to maybe, consider it, think about it. Yeah? So, let's get back to it. Now, when it comes to the Motor Vehicle Traffic Act, it is more of a commercial law. What do you mean by that? Well, a law of commerce, right? So, if you read this Traffic Act, you will see that it pertains to a driver and persons. Now, a driver is a person that uses the people's roads, streets, highways, etc. for commercial use or for commerce and profit, meaning that they use the streets, the roads, the highways over and over again more than just regular people, meaning they're doing it for commerce to make money. The example would be a bus driver, a truck driver, a taxi driver. These right here are terms that belong to commerce, and they're a profession. And you see, they're using the people's property to make money. And then usually that pertains to corporations, and that's why it's a law of commerce. Now, again, it says a person that uses the people's roads. So now, again, remember, in law, in the courts, right, words may have different meanings depending how you use it. So there's a lot of assumptions or presumptions as to what the words mean in a particular sentence or in a particular act or in a particular rule, law. So it's always good to validate their meanings, these meanings. So when you look up the meaning of person in the Black Laws Dictionary, right, you're going to notice that it says clearly, and this is the third edition, Black Laws third edition dictionary. It says that persons are artificial beings or corporation. It is a quasi-corporation as well. It can be also considered a county is a person in a legal sense. Every full citizen is a person, but not every human being is a person. This is actually the definition in the Black Laws Dictionary. A sovereign is not. Isn't that interesting? Right? A person is a legal subject. Now, these are definitions where you can find in the dictionary of the laws or the law book dictionaries. So, by using this, right, I could determine, by knowing the definitions, that this Motor Vehicle Traffic Act does not pertain to everybody. It pertains to persons and drivers. Now, if you decide to be one employee, right? Let's say you decide to be an employee. What you're going to have to follow now is the rules of an employee. So if you decide to be an employee of, let's say, I don't know, a gas station. So now the rules of the gas station, the corporation, which is the gas station, now has a set of rules for an employee of the gas station. So if you say, yeah, I'm an employee of that gas station, now, because of your consent, those rules apply to you. So you say, well, I am a supervisor of a particular company. Well, the rules of that company for a supervisor now pertain to you. But if you're not a supervisor, not an employee, obviously those don't pertain to you. So it depends on what identity you choose to become or consent to being, then those rules apply to you, right? But under the law, as a man, under the law, as a woman, you are basically under the rules or the law of God or the law of the land. And it is only when you become or consent to being a legal, fictitious person, entity, artificial being, now the rules that are made for these entities now apply to you. So, I put some documents together, some lawful documents, which every single man or woman can do for their own, because we all have the right to be self-governed, self-determined, or self-determining, and we all have the right to practice law, because nobody else is going to exercise our rights. We have to exercise it for ourselves. So we can all lawfully practice law. We can. So what we would have to do now is learn a little bit about this type of information. So I put some lawful documents together to notify the corporations that are acting as governmental persons. I sent them a note, which are in charge of this, in enforcing this, or policing this, or enforcing the policies of the Motor Vehicle Act. So I sent them a notice, letting them know that I, in my practice of law, and what I've come to realize is that this right here doesn't really pertain to me, because I have now lawfully made a declaration and made a claim that I am a unincorporated man, and that I am not consenting to corporation rules. I am under law, meaning that if I harm somebody, I'm going to own up to it. You know, I'm going to make it right. If I do somebody wrong by accident or whatever, I'm going to honor it. I'm going to fix it. That's the law. I'm not going to trespass on anybody's property, on anybody's right. I'm not going to cause them harm, loss, damages. I don't want to do that, you know, so I'm going to obey and honor that law. But when it comes to corporate laws, corporate rules that are assumed to be laws, that I'm not going to consent, especially if I'm going to lose some of my rights. So if I can use the corporate services in exchange, I pay them and they give me services without me having to waive my rights, without me having to be under their rules where they can claim that they can imprison me or take away my property. No, well, I'm not going to consent to that. Nobody's going to consent to give a corporation willingly that type of power, right? So in these documents right there, I let them know that I am retiring from driving because I am fully aware, as far as my understanding and comprehension of what is law and what are these things called acts, and the definition of these different words used in these rules they call acts. So now that I'm aware of these things here, I want to let them know and remove the controversy, because this is controversial. If people are not aware of this, obviously they're not going to know what they're volunteering or participating in, right? So I have since then sent everybody, I sent every municipality, meaning all the districts, mayors, all of the police departments. I sent it to the Attorney General. I sent it to the Commissioner of Police. I sent it everywhere. Every single magistrate's court office, I sent a copy to the clerk, letting them know my intentions. And if I have it wrong, contact me. Let me know, right? Because as far as I can understand, I am not obliged to be a driver. I would have to consent, and I want to knowingly know and engage in this act right here. So since then, I've been traveling. I have my traveling plates. I send them a copy of my traveling plates so they know that I'm in the private. Just like the house, this house right here, it's private. So obviously a public officer cannot come into my private domain as he wishes or she wishes, because it's not their domain, it's not their concern, it's not their business. Their business is in the public. However, my body is also private, and the automobile is also private. So in the very same way, I can travel with my private property and reserve my rights. We all have this right. We all can practice this. This is something that not a lot of people use because not a lot of people understand. So, oh man, let me check out the comments really quick, guys. Let me see. I noticed that there's people commenting here. Oh yeah, we take responsibility for any harm caused another man or woman. Yes, no insurance is a fraud. Yeah, because, again, for example, right, I had someone run into me a few months ago, right, and it was a woman, and it did damage my pickup a little bit. It did damage it, but not that much, right, and I could see that this woman was a little bit, something was troubling her. She didn't mean it. Wasn't a big deal. And I told her, you know what, she asked me, do you want to go to the police station for this? You could obviously see that she didn't want to. So I said, no, we don't have to go to the police station. And she says, you know what, I'll give you my name, my number. Here's a picture of my ID. You could take a picture of my vehicle's license plate. I will pay for the damages. You tell me how much it is. No problem. So because of that, I took her information and I said, okay, fine, no problem. We don't have to deal with no insurance companies. Why? Because we can settle this matter privately, right? So I choose to do it in that manner. If I would do somebody wrong by accident or purposely or whatnot because I'm angry or something, well, I will fix that. I will remedy that because my word is my bond. So I'm not a man who would go out and drink and drive. I don't drink. I don't consume alcohol. I'm not someone who's gonna be up late at night and just driving like crazy everywhere or traveling. I'm not somebody who does that. So obviously liability is decreased. I don't tend to do that. I travel from point A to point B, and that's it, slowly, calmly. and following the natural laws, right, to do no harm. So far, I even sent them a letter of conditional acceptance, letting them know that I would accept their offer if some conditions are met. And then this again goes with contract law, which is another fascinating topic which I highly recommend people look into. So you don't need insurance to license your vehicle, knowledge is power. Well, again, in the commercial venue, right? Right now, the system is already set up for drivers and persons. The system is set up for artificial entities. These corporations or corporate entities, corporate franchises, governmental corporate franchises, they are legal entities. And under contract law, because they're legal entities, they can only contract with another legal entity. And only by contracting with a legal entity can their contract be valid. If you are you a man, if you a man or a woman are in contract with a legal entity, well, I have to let you know that contract is invalid, because there are certain elements in the contract that need to be present in order for the contract to be valid and authentic. But if there is a mixture of parties in a contract, meaning there is a live living man or woman who has already declared their status, claimed their name, and has proven that they're a man and not a legal entity, and if that man or woman is in contract with a legal entity, now that contract is null and void. That's how contract law works. So this information right here might not be processed very easily because we're so used to this system. And the reason that I'm doing it because the system doesn't make sense anymore to me, and practicing law, natural law to be more precise, natural law, you tend to have to use common sense, and common sense is basically what they call common law too, and we can also use that as well. So I'm sharing this simply because, people keep asking me about it. They seem very curious, very interested, and I personally enjoy sharing. So I hope you guys enjoy this presentation. If you find it interesting, if you want to see the documents that I've sent out, if you want a copy, no problem. I share it out. I go out and I look for the transport officers and I give them a copy. I tell them, look, I want you to know one time, read this document. I've sent this document to your bosses, and all your superiors. We are already engaging in a contract or contractual agreement. So if you have any issues with my automobile and me traveling in this manner, it's best you contact them, because if you attempt to trespass on my private matters between me and your bosses, then again, that is a trespass on my property, and that has a fee, and I let them know, right? I hope you guys do find this interesting, because this is just a small part. Once you start to learn the definitions of these different words, and how we have been so trained and conditioned not to question these things here, and we just go along with it. And this training, this programming, is just, it's not really doing us any good. We're not growing, we're not developing as we should, So with more knowledge, obviously comes more development, more growth. The more we know, the more we grow. And I'm happy that I'm learning this, and happy to share. Again, if you know anything about this, if you want to also share your experience, just feel free to get in touch with me and let's talk. And yeah, let me see if there's any questions here. Nancy, Aline, guys, thanks for joining. Yeah, definitely. So much programming we're undoing, the spells that are coming out of. Yeah, again, we're under a spell, and you just have to look at the law dictionary to see that the language that is used in courts is called legalese. And as per the Black Laws Dictionary, legalese is basically, it's defined as hocus pocus incantations. And I couldn't even believe it myself until I read it myself in the law book. So, very fascinating, right? Yeah, so guys, this was just a quick live. That's all I want to do is present this. You know, if you have any questions, anything to add, please feel free. Retired. Because I've retired from driving. Well, guys, blessed night, sorry. I hope you guys had a great day today. More blessings to every one of you. I'd like to encourage you, learn a little bit of law, learn the difference between legalities and lawfulness, or legal and lawful. Learn a little bit about contracts. The reason I say learn about contracts is just, let me just add this really quick, right? Because think about it. Just think about it, right? How many people, how many individuals right now are in a bind? They feel that they're in a contract with a legal entity, and that this contract, it feels very, very wrong. It feels like they're losing more than they're winning. It feels unfair. And let's say, how many people are losing their houses because they're in a contract? How many people are having to become homeless because they feel that they're in a contract with a legal entity? Now imagine if you're able to point out different little elements in a contract that you can prove to be invalid, and you can invalidate the contract. Imagine that. Then there is no contract, right? How would you present this? What would be the next step? So by learning a little bit more about this topic, you learn how to be self-governed, right? Because think about it, the government right now, right? It's offering us services services of things that we can't do for ourselves, right? These services are there simply because it's supposed to be for our benefit. However, it's reached a point where it's a little bit dictatorship, right, kind of feeling, you know? It's like as soon as you accept their services, like now they're your rulers, you know? Now they're your owners. Now you have little to no rights. And it shouldn't be that way. I mean, they have services. We should be able to use their services without being in so much fear of losing our freedom, you know, losing our house, losing things that pertain and belong to us. So by us learning a little bit more about law, legalities, about who we are, it definitely helps anybody in this time right now. In this time. How many people were forced to, in a way, they were coerced in a way to have to do something that they didn't want to do, simply because they had to keep their jobs, simply because they felt that they were in a contract that they couldn't come out of, because the contract, according to them, they feel the penalties involved are too much, too risky. The punishment is too high. So imagine if you knew how to invalidate those contracts. Wouldn't that be helpful? Wouldn't that be empowering? Of course it would. And I would love to see my people become more empowered. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see my people question more, think more, become more self-governed, you know, honor each other, honor the actual laws of not doing any harm, you know. I'd love to see that. And I think the only way we can genuinely reach that stage and that point is to be open to this type of information, this type of knowledge, to say, you know what, if I do any harm, I will put my name on it. I will cover the bill. I will take care of it. I'm not going to run away from it. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to pretend that or lie about it. You know, I'm going to honor it like a man or like a woman, you know. When we start to do that, then we don't need others to govern us, you know. Maybe we just need them to administrate things for us, you know, or run the services, but not govern us, tell us what to think, how to think, and tell us what's good for us, make changes because they've claimed that it's good for us. See, the more we learn to be self-governed, the less we need from entities that are going to use that against us, you know. Remember, if they work for us, then we set the rules, not them. That's how it should be, you know. So let me see. Questions. We should all be living as kings and queens, abundant, safe, sheltered, and fed, everything we need. Yes, that's true. What do you do if they stop you? Well, I have a document that I provide to them, letting them know that any questions pertaining to license, registration, insurance, or license plate, those matters are already being settled in the private. And here's a list of the governmental persons that have been made aware. And I let them know that because this is a private matter, there is a fee for trespassing in private matter. And I just encourage them, you know what, take pictures. You know, I consent to you taking pictures of the traveling plate and the document and show it to your bosses. If they feel that I'm still doing wrong, and they will tell you, you know, they'll tell you to come get me or whatnot. But have your bosses, your superiors, look into it first, because I have sent them lawful documents and I have the proof of it too. So that's what I let them know. I have a document with my signature and everything, and I give them a copy letting them know, and I show them this, right? So they can take pictures, and if they feel that they feel that I still have to belong here, they feel that I'm wrong, then they can do their next step. They can send me a ticket or whatever they feel. And then we can go to court, no problem. But until then, I'm already engaging in a lawful act. I'm doing it as we should be doing it. Remember, one individual talks to another individual to settle matters. It's just one-on-one. Nothing beats paper. When you put it on paper, right, and you make it public, then it's public information. You have declared your intentions, you have made it known, and now you're basically inviting anybody over to contract with you so that then you can settle matters. And so far, I've had the police officers, the transport department, they're all honoring it. A lot of them watch my videos. A lot of them are well aware. They follow me. A lot of police officers get in touch with me saying that they have seen my video and they are very interested in it. So I'm very happy that the men and women in the police department and the transport department, they too are open to this too. And the more of us people, regular people, learn about this, then the more this information will spread. And obviously, but I mean, think about it, that these right here, it doesn't have to go away. I mean, this is actually helpful. Bus drivers, taxi drivers, truck drivers, they use the roads and streets on the highway so much that they tend to cause wear and tear much faster. So obviously, if they're making money from the roads, the highways, the streets, and at the expense of the people, well, then yeah, sure, why not? Let's let them chip in, let them pay the fees, let them get a driver's license, right? I mean, that's why it was created. It's for corporate entities. It was for it's a profession. But if we are just regular people, unincorporated, we don't work for government, nothing, we're just traveling, well, I mean, by law, we have the right to travel. Under natural law, we have the right to travel without being interfered, obstructed, especially if we haven't committed any crime. That's just how the law works. Okay, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Please feel free to share this video. Share away. And again, if you want to see the documents that I have put together, that I've sent, feel free to get in touch with me. I'll send you a copy, no problem. All right? You guys have a blessed night. Be safe, everybody. Take care. Bye.